Warzone Season 5 is back, and they have brought back Superstore. So if you are new to Warzone or you just want the best Season 5 settings for graphics, FPS, aiming, and everything else, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. Starting with the controller settings on your controller tab right here, I play on Tactical Flipped, which is just going to be I shoot with the bumpers instead of the triggers. That is because I'm using a PS4 controller right now, and it just feels more comfortable. So I play on Tactical Flipped. Bumper ping, obviously you flip it by clicking that on, and then you just keep scrolling down to your dead zones. And if you want the dead zones, right now my controller is just really working real well right now. So my left stick minimum is at 0 for the max amount of aim assist. The left stick maximum is at 50, so it hits that maximum speed on your left stick as fast as possible without the controller going too crazy. Depending on how good your controller is, obviously you can mess with that. And then the right stick for me right now is at 3, and then 99 left trigger and right trigger is going to be at 0. Then moving over to the aiming sensitivity, right now I'm on 1313. I wouldn't recommend playing on this if you were kind of newer to Call of Duty. I've just been bored and just kind of messing around with some stuff on stream. Normally I would recommend 6.6, or again, if you want to play on your higher sensitivities of horizontal stick sensitivity, you can play on 13. You can leave this at like 6 or something, so you kind of have that horizontal since we're playing boots on the ground. And then you can obviously have your ADS multiplier at whatever you want, depending on how it goes. Right now, I've been at 1313. If you guys want more of a casual one, I would say 661 is really good. So 6 here, and an ADS multiplier at 1. That's very good. 77.9, or again, you can kind of just test out stuff for you. But I play on 1313 right now. Sensitivity multipliers I do not touch. And then you just scroll through this. Aim response curve is dynamic. That is very helpful. And then you keep going down here. Nothing too crazy over here. Aim assist I play on default. Target aim assist, make sure that's on, and then you just keep going all the way down. It's not going to be anything too crazy. Now moving over to the automatic sprint in gameplay is going to be automatic sprint enabled, which is going to be very, very helpful for speed and movement. I have slide maintain sprint off. If you guys have watched my movement guides, you kind of know why. Personally for me, I just have it off. I think it's a little bit better with some of the moves you could perform without it. Some people play with this on. I completely understand, but either way, you keep scrolling through this. Auto move forward off, single tap to run, doesn't really matter because I have ATS on, but either way I have that on. And then you just have all of this stuff off. You can play with grounded mantle on. You're gonna start mantling a lot of stuff on accident probably, so if you don't like that, I would turn it off. But if you want to really flashy with your movement, grounded mantle is something that you can definitely do. But either way, you keep it going all the way down. I play on hybrid, which is just nice once you learn it. And yeah, at first I didn't really use the hybrid stuff, but now I definitely have learned it, and it's just a lot better for Warzone in general. So you can see right here, nothing too crazy. Interact, reload behavior. Make sure that is prioritized interact. That is going to help you out a lot. And then you can just copy the rest of these basically for anything you need. 1 by 1 for C4s personally helps me with the detonations. And then, yes, because C4s are pretty good right now. And yeah, so that's the gameplay that you guys need for your controller settings. Now let's go to the graphics. Here we are in graphics setting. We're going to do the display tab. Now, I would recommend just copying most of this because it's just going to be pretty helpful for your FPS and just making the game still look pretty good. Depending on the PC that you have, you can go higher of some of these settings or lower. I have a 4090 right now. I forget the GPU or CPU I have, but it's going to be pretty good. It's a relatively, expensive PC here. So if you're trying to get the max FPS and you don't have the crazy build, you're probably going to want to do some of the settings on even lower than I have, but I will explain that in a second. And then you can see here, again, just running through these, nothing too crazy. Sliding over to the quality, we have graphic preset custom. Render resolution, I play at 1440p. Make sure that's at 100. Upscaling and sharpening, this is what makes your game look really, really crisp and clear no matter what your settings are. And I have it at 90. So that is right there. CAS, strength 90. Fidelity CAS. If you have it on anything else, you might get some more frames, but there's going to be some weird input delay on some. The game's not going to look good on others. And just overall, most people are using Fidelity CAS. I have the ray tracing off. VRAM is at 70. My gamer's crashing when I don't have it at 70. Now it's not. I keep it at that for that reason. And then here is what I was talking about before. You can turn your textures at very low and low. It's not going to help your FPS that much, but if you are playing with a build that's not very good and you just don't care about anything other than getting best FPS, turn everything to even lower. If you have a decent build and you want your game to look a little bit more crisp and still have some pretty good FPS, which I'm getting, you can definitely do normal and even maybe a little higher if you want. But yeah, I have normal. Depth of field needs to be off. Make sure that is off. Detail quality level normal. Particle resolution very low. I like the bullet impact for recoil patterns to learn them. And then I have the persistent effects off, shader quality low. If you want your game to look better, the higher the shader quality, the better your game is going to look. But the FPS will definitely take a hit. So depending on what you have, again, you can kind of go from that. On-demand texture streaming, that's what it looks like for me. And then keep scrolling through. Low, low, off, low. You're going to see that most of this stuff now is going to be low and off, and overall that just helps my FPS. I'm getting a lot of it. I love the way my game looks and just been helping me in general. Now moving over to the FOV, this kind of goes with your controller settings and a lot of visual recoil. I play on 118 FOV. I've played on 120. I play on 110. What I would recommend to you guys is to play on 110. It is the best balance of being able to see people, where 120 can be really hard to see people. And then it's also just going to help you with visual recoil in general. The lower your FOV, the more visual recoil you'll get and more bounce. So again, the higher you get, the less visual recoil you'll have, but the harder it will be to see your enemies. So you have to find a balance of that. I think 118 is really, really good for Warzone and Rebirth, and I do a lot of Rebirth as well. But if I was playing a little bit more, just not as much or as cracked, if I didn't play every day, I'd probably play on 110. Normally I do. I've just been playing on this for now. ADS field of view affected. That is also pretty good when it comes for the visual recoil. If you play on independent, you will zoom in every time when you're aimed in, and it's going to hurt your visual recoil. So I definitely recommend playing on affected to anyone out there. And then if you just keep going down here, wide, motion blurs off, film grain off, and then this is the most important setting. If you were new to Warzone, first person camera movement, make sure that is at least 50. It starts at default at 100. No one knows why, but your game and screen is going to be shaking everywhere if you don't do it. So make sure you have those at 50. And then that is the rest of the settings that we're playing on. And then here for audio settings, I play on PC speaker. I am using the Art is War tuning when I play on PC. And then, of course, when I'm playing on console, I'm not doing that because you can't do it on console. But either way, this is what I'm rocking right now. Nothing too crazy for the audio settings, but I will just run through them for the sake of the video. And then if you want to go to interface, this is where some of the stuff can be important. So if you're on interface and you go to your color customization, you want to make sure your HUD palette is custom, whatever you want. I have enemy at purple, which I just think the pings just stand out a little bit more. Red pings kind of just blend in with a lot, in my opinion. So I think the purple just stands out more to me. So I like playing on the purple or the pink kind of just colorway for that. Normally it's defaulted at red, but again, that's a lot of personal preference. And then squad member colors, again, you can kind of have all that at preference. I don't change anything other than the enemy pings. Then if you go to color filters, you're supposed to have this at filter 2, which I normally have it on. And I guess this just reset, which I didn't even notice. So thank God I'm doing this video for you guys. And filter 2, then you always do both. And then you do intensity 100 and 100. That is what I always have it on. And I do think that makes the game a lot clearer. So this is something that's not going to make it, you know, tremendously where, like, again, I didn't even really notice it. But it makes the game pop just a little bit more. So that's just nice to have. Personally, I like the way the game looks at it. But overall, it kind of can mess with those two and kind of figure out what you like the most. And then if you keep scrolling down in the interface, you want the HUD bounds. You want these to be brought all the way in, because the closer the minimap is to your, like, center of your screen or the top left of your screen, the easier it is for your eyes to go from the center of your screen, which is the reticle, up to the left to get all the information of where people are, where your teammates are, where they're shooting from, where you need to rotate from, as quick as possible. And little things like that do help you, especially when you're playing a lot of Call of Duty. So I bring those all the way in. Minimap shape, you have to have it on square and make sure it's rotating. I don't know how people don't play with a rotating map, so I would recommend putting that on. But if for some reason that bothers you, take it off. Either way, it's not going to hurt. And now I do have my crosshairs on. Now, a lot of people do like the crosshairs being static or off, so it really depends on preference. If you put it at static, basically every time you're whipping around your screen, your crosshairs are going to stay the same. But when you have crosshairs on, that's technically exactly where you would be, depending on, like, if you're playing with a hipfire build. So this, I go back and forth. Sometimes I turn them off. This doesn't really matter too much unless you're kind of working on your centering. If you want to be working on your centering, I'd recommend static. Again, it does not really matter too much for that, but it will help, you know, some of you guys. It depends, especially if it helps you just mentally, then, you know, definitely put it on. And then center dot should always be on. And then depending on the center dot scale, default, large, or largest, all that's going to do is make that center dot on your screen not go away as little as possible. And the bigger it is, obviously the clearer it could be. Or some people don't really like that because it's just too big, and if you're not really caring about your centering, you don't need to work on it, you don't really need it. But I play on default. They're both really good, and yeah, that should still be able to help you. And you can see the rest of this stuff right here is just going to be stuff that doesn't really help you too much, in my opinion. So that is all of the settings for Warzone Season 5. I hope you guys enjoyed, and this is going to help you with Warzone Season 5, just be able to play the game and enjoy the experience quickly. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. We have a bunch of loadouts coming for you for Warzone Season 5, more guides, and a lot more content coming to this channel when it comes to tips and tricks, whether it's short form or long form. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. Peace.